What's up, YouTube? Zach's back with another attack. You might hear some music going on behind me. That's my brother's band. I believe that they are playing a cover of Wicked Game right now. I don't remember who originally did it, but I know that him did a rock cover of it. That's kind of what they're doing. But as you saw from the title of this, we're going to be talking today screwing Apple. And screw Apple, screw iPhones, screw iMacs, screw friggin' everything. I'm not saying that I'm a Google fanboy or anything like that, because that's absolutely not the case either. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. But I do think that it's possible to not be an Android fanboy, but also dislike Apple. And I say that as I'm recording this on a iPhone, so keep that in mind. I'm a little biased. I'm really playing devil's advocate here. And I don't know how long I'll be live streaming for. I wanted to do this for a little bit. I'll probably make an actual soon. But yeah, it's pretty freaking cold outside, so I don't know how long I'll be streaming for. Hopefully some people get in here. Right now, nobody's watching, but hopefully we can get a couple people in here as we go. But I did an interview with Telosive Tech. Of course, he is called the Apple Sheep. He is a big Apple fanboy. He loves everything Apple does. He just got the new iMac Pro. He's had every iPhone, now rocking the iPhone 10. And, you know, he's a great YouTuber. I watch a lot of his stuff. He's good. He's funny. He knows what he's talking about. And I'm not saying screw Apple. They're so expensive. And leave a comment down below with anything I'm saying. But this first point, it's hard to disagree with. So they're expensive. They're really, really freaking expensive. And there's no denying that. Anybody can get an Android phone for at least a third of the price of an iPhone, especially the iPhone 10. Of course, I have the iPhone SE, but that's a little too late, and still not as cheap as many iPhones, or many Androids, I mean. And I really think that if iPhone and Apple and things like that, even the iMacs, those aren't cheap. The iPad, if you're not an Apple fanboy, why are you buying those phones? The one Apple product that I don't believe in at all is the iPad, and that's mostly because of the operating system. They just suck at that. It's basically a blown up iPad that I can't use with one hand or comfortably while holding it. It has to be like on my lap or something. At that point, I will just use a laptop or a desktop computer. So screw iPads. They suck. They're stupid. They're stupid. Who buys an iPad? If you have an iPad, if you're watching this, first off, I appreciate the view. Like, subscribe, comment, you know. Yeah. But I don't understand the point. You can comment below and argue, but what's the point? Why not just use your phone? You can literally use your phone for everything. And on that front, screw apps. Screw apps. Who needs a Facebook app? Why can't I just do everything on Facebook.com in my browser? If I want to download an app, it should be Chrome, because Safari sucks. And we all are forced to have it on friggin' iPhones. Who wants to keep Safari on their iPhone? Nobody. Granted, it's optimized to iPhone, so it works good, it works well, but Chrome works amazing even on iPhones, and it's not optimized to that. And you know what's funny? Most Android phones don't even have Chrome as their web browser. It's just internet. So isn't that interesting? At least Apple has the audacity to have Safari, which nothing is supported on. There's many things, even on YouTube, I have to open up Chrome to use on my iPhone because Safari is not supported. Yay! Screw you, Apple. And okay, now let's move on to the second point, because price is not debatable. You can't argue that iPhones, iPads, iMacs, iPods, you know, everything is so expensive outrageously, and it's not even, you can argue there's good reasons, but at the end of the day, it's too expensive. It's not worth it when there's iPads, or tablets, I mean, that are made by Android, Samsung, things like that, that are so much cheaper and work better, especially in the tablet front, that have better operating systems, in my opinion. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. So the second point is that the operating system, even on iPhones, is kind of crappy. You can't do certain things without jailbreaking, which you can do on Android. Now, Android has ways that you can tether without your internet provider, in this case Sprint for me, you know, Verizon, AT&T, your phone provider who provides internet to your phone cannot see that you're tethering. You can do that unlimited. You can do that with a jailbreak very easily. When I was able to jailbreak my iPhones, I was able to do this like crazy. I had my whole house running internet off my unlimited Sprint data plan. I was watching Netflix constantly. You know, I was uploading videos to YouTube. And can I do that now? No, because guess what? I got a new iPhone and I can't jailbreak it. But Android has. Why is Apple so closed off? You can argue things. You can say that it's because they have their closed operating system. They want things to work. But are you saying Android doesn't work? Because I think Android works just fine. And you want to argue with me? I think it's fine. Now, to say a couple other things that Apple does not have going well with its operating system, you have the inability to move icons wherever you want to. How hard is that? Some customization. Apple gives you some customization. Is it really so hard to put an icon here instead of right beside the other one? I don't think so. Why is that so hard, Apple? And another thing is that you have to have all of their apps that are approved through Apple. In some ways that's good, but in a lot of other ways that prevents things from being on the App Store, and it makes a very closed ecosystem. I am not saying that Android does it completely right, but I don't see why Apple can't be a little more lenient. Why not, you know? And this is a discussion, so tell me if I'm wrong. But I don't think I am entirely. Once again, I am saying all of this on an iPhone. So, that said, the next point, iMacs. They have the inability to upgrade them. They can play games, but they're not made for it at all, and a lot of things aren't compatible. They have awkward way of right-clicking. I'm constantly using my Apple computer and not being able to right-click on things because it's just one giant left-click button, and that does not make for a good, seamless experience. You know, why do you have one giant button? It should be a left-click and a right-click like Windows. Again, Windows doesn't necessarily do this flawlessly. They're not the be-all, end-all, but they do it well in that there's a right click and a left click that allows you to do a lot of things. Now we're getting Force Touch, but it's not the same at all. They can act like it's the same, but really, who wants Force Touch instead of a right click? And Force Touch, most things aren't even working with it. What's the deal with that? Why are they introducing things that nothing works with? You know, you can hold down on something and it'll save a picture in one case, and in the next case you can't do anything. It should work every single time in the exact same way. Android doesn't do that, but Apple's supposed to be the one who does things right. Their whole thing, everyone who's a fanboy, including Talos of Tech, he's all about Apple doesn't do things first. Apple does things right. And guess what? They didn't do this right. They didn't. And you can say that they're still working up entirely on Force Touch. Maybe little tiny improvements here and there when they've got a minute around all the other things they're trying to do. And maybe that's point 4. They're trying to do way too much I feel you. I hate Apple. They're a slave company. Steel City's show. Thank you so much for your comment. I agree. Yes, they're a slave company. I'm using an iPhone, but I just, you know, if I didn't have this, I would easily have a Note. If I didn't have this phone, I would not go to an iPhone 10. I have the iPhone 7 right now. I would easily go to a Note 8. That is the best phone on the market if you ask me right now. That Apple really has gotten me sucked in because I've got a lot of purchases on the App Store, on the iTunes, and it all syncs and that works. But if you don't have if you don't have an iPhone, if you don't have an iPad, if you don't have an iMac, if you don't have the EarPods, if you don't have an Apple Watch and all this stuff, your whole ecosystem is totally thrown off, and it makes it almost not worth it to have one thing. Where I feel like Google Home does great as a speaker. Is the Google Apple's version of a smart speaker gonna suck because I don't have an Apple Watch? Is this HomePod thing going to suck because I don't have all of these other accessories? I'm not using an Apple computer with it. I'm using a Windows computer. So is this gonna suck? Not that I'm gonna buy it. I'm not. It's too expensive and it's ridiculous. It's got good sound quality, but so does a much cheaper speaker. And Siri sucks. There's another point. Siri never listens. I'm constantly telling her to do things and she hears me completely wrong. I'll say, "Hey Siri, what is the capital of Zimbabwe?" And she'll be like, "I will set a reminder for you to take out your laundry." I'm like, what the heck are you talking about, Siri? That's not at all what I said. And I just, Siri does not need to be the main focus of any product, let alone a speaker. I don't care how smart it is. I don't care how dumb it is, because it's gonna be dumb. And you can get a Google Home speaker with a much smarter person in it and decent enough sound quality for $4. If that promotion's still going at Walmart, you can get this for $4. That's so cheap. Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you ever even consider getting the Apple Pod, HomePod thing? What's up with the naming things too? They go from the 7 to the 8 to the 10. What about the 9? Do you forget how to count, Apple? You don't do things first, you do them right. Oh yes, because skipping a number, that's right. Yep, that's counting. You learned how to count right. Thank you. And what's the next iPhone gonna be called? The iPhone 11? The iPhone 9? Are you gonna go backwards now? And that's the problem. I don't know what you guys are doing. I don't know who's running this show. There's no colors of anything. Everything is back ordered so far that no one's ever gonna get it. Your new computers cost $1,000 to start, and they go up to $15,000 for the most upgraded model, and no one's buying that other than the extremely wealthy. And you guys are fine with that because one or two people are gonna buy that, and you're gonna make $30,000. Is that worth it? Is that worth making this computer that only 2 people can buy? What happened to the Telosive collab? Shake my head. I'm playing devil's advocate a bit here. I have an iPhone. I do have an Apple computer. I had an Apple Watch for a while. You can watch my review on that. But Telosive Tech is a little too hardcore on liking Apple, in my opinion. If you saw my Telosive collab, you can get where I'm coming from, maybe, because I'm an Apple sheep. I was, and you know, I've had good experiences with the Note line, and I can't sit here and say that the Note sucked. I can't sit here and say that only Apple good phones. And Apple does do things wrong, and I think everybody is Apple sheep. Apple's never going to improve. There's things that Apple could do better, and they could be the amazing company that makes everybody be Apple sheep. Okay, I think I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. I think that you can definitely be an Apple sheep and still love Apple and agree, or at least see the things that Apple does wrong. because they're not perfect. They're not impervious to hate, and there's definitely improvements that could be made. So if we can all at least agree to that, including Talos of Tech, and he has said himself that he'll admit when Apple does things wrong, but I feel like he doesn't always. He kind of just says that they're doing the best they can and they're the best at the time. And I think maybe that's because he has a full ecosystem. Don't have that full ecosystem, then what's the point sometimes, you know? I almost don't like how the ecosystem is so together that it doesn't make me, I can't afford that. So I would rather get something that I can last forever, even if I just get off of these comments are hilarious. I like that. Now I forgot where I was at. I'm sorry, guys. I want to know what you guys think. What's the worst part about Apple? I think you should be able to say the worst thing about Apple, even if you love Apple, because I like Apple, and I just think that they're not perfect. Prices, definitely. That was my number one point. I don't know if you were on, Razi, at that time. Another price, yes, definitely. That is the worst thing about Apple. Why can't they be cheaper? And their margins are crazy. Their margins are so insane. My first point was prices. Apple, they're the richest company in the world. Taylor, I assume, Razi, you watched most of his videos. He said in his Google Home Max review, I believe, that they could make it way cheaper, give it out to a lot of people for essentially free, and still make a ton of money off of it, and make money from ads or selling information that comes from it, the machine learning, stuff like that. Thank you, Razi. I appreciate that. And I really don't want this to be something where people think that I hate Apple. Because, like I said, this is a bit of devil's advocate. I want to point out what Apple's doing wrong, because if you don't point out what people are doing wrong, how are they going to improve? Yellows of Tech said that he did that recent giveaway, and his requirement for the giveaway was to say the HomePod is $350 and the Google Max is $400. Like, it's great for its price, but the HomePod isn't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I think that might be a little bit expensive even for the HomePod, or a HomePod needs to have something like that to compete with the, because at least if you don't like the price of the Google Home Max, the Google Home, or you can get the Google Home Mini. But I'm not agreeing on all of it. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. I'm always watching Drew's videos. I watch him almost every day. I also think that I'm one of his biggest fans, and at the same time, sometimes I hear him say things and I'm like, but could they really be doing that better? Like, I get being an Apple sheep, being biased, but I don't want to be biased to the point where I say that the Note isn't a phone right now. And that's very subjective. That's not... I literally have the $50 monthly Patreon, you're right. I used to. For about 2 or 3 months, I did do the $50 Patreon because I love him and love what he's doing. I think that he deserves to be full-time, and I wanted to support that. You know, I would be incredibly happy to even be making $50 a month from YouTube. So for me to be putting $50 a month towards another YouTuber is kind of crazy, but at the same time, it was good to be able to do that and support him. But at the same time, like I said, you gotta be able to admit what people are doing wrong to be able to say what they're doing. $6 monthly off YouTube. What's your YouTube channel about, Razi? That's awesome. Off Patreon. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I'd love to know what your channel's about. Is it also about Apple stuff? Obviously my channel is not about iPhones. It's not about Android either. Apple sheep too. Okay, Cool, well, I'll check out your channel after the stream. I'm sorry, I'm sliding on snow. It is so cold. I live in Indiana. It is literally like 0 degrees out here. It's so cold. I've been out here for 20 minutes live streaming. I am out here. I was listening to my brother's band and using my iPhone, and I just had to talk about this because we're going into this new year and the iPhone is only getting better. We're getting the iPhone 10 Plus, I'm sure of it, and I would love to play with that, and I hope that it's better than the Notes, but I hope that it's also not $1,400 like Drew has been saying. If this is $1,400, there's no way I'm buying one. That's the simple fact of the matter. I love the Plus phones, but when your phone is that expensive, how do you expect a mass amount of people to buy it? Especially, didn't they say that the iPhone 10 cost like 300 something to make? When Drew said 1,400, I got a little angry. Me too. I was like, that's so ridiculous. And he thought the 10 was gonna cost that much, and I was mad about that too. Glad that it wasn't, but I think it's still a bit much at $1,000. Granted, the payment plans through your phone, $350, I believe. Yeah, so if it's $350 for the iPhone 10 to making $1,000, you know, that's crazy. That's crazy. Steel City Show. That's what I'm saying. It's so crazy. And I get that they've got marketing costs, they've got the cost to develop, they've got all this other stuff, but when it costs $350 to make each one and they're selling millions of units at $1,000, if this is 14, I was stuck with my S8. You had an S8 before that? The Note 8 is just as good as the 10, I think, and I love having a file system where I can do things and basically do whatever I want to. So I'm not saying Android's doing it right. I wish that Apple did it a little bit differently. I wish we had more options, even if it's in color, which I know Drew believes too, but I wish that there was options in the way I could go with my files. I wish there was options in the color. I wish there was more options in, shoot, even being able to tether whether or not my battery stops when, or the ESR is throttled when my battery gets old, because apparently that's happening now and that's not an option. They said it's happening on the iPhone 7, which is what I have, so I'm looking forward to that. But the iPhone 10 obviously is going to get it too as that gets older, and every other phone from here on out from Apple's probably going to have that. If we could have a choice at least to say, would you rather have battery life or would you rather have performance throttled? I don't know. I'm proud of, what the fuck, Apple? Yeah. I'm so glad you agree with me, Rozzy, because when I started this stream, I thought Apple sheep might hate this, and some of them probably do still, but I'm glad at least one person agrees with me, because I'm not trying to be a hater. Android or other companies might be doing right. I think we can all agree that Microsoft's not the best. They've definitely got some good things going when they talk about desktop PCs, but I'm a pretty big Mac fan, to be honest. I just wish the price was lower. The Pixel is the worst phone. If we can all agree on the Pixel being the worst phone, maybe the Microsoft phone. Thanks, Rozzy. You might be right. The Microsoft phone might be worse than the Pixel. They're pretty close in horribleness. But the iPhone is definitely a great phone. Definitely got its flaws, though, and the price is up there to the point where some people definitely consider it to be too much and won't buy it because of that. So I think Apple should be a little bit more accommodating to people. I get they want things to be perfect. I'm getting used to the headphone jack, and I'm getting used to, I mean, I've used the Apple phones for a long time, so I'm used to everything about their operating system, the way things function. The only thing I've really had to get used to with the 7 is the lack of a headphone jack, which I'm an audio production major. I do a lot of audio editing. I do video editing on my phone, so that took a long time to get used to. Although now I just carry on my Lightning headphones with me everywhere. And no, I can see why they did that. Everyone else is doing it now too. I was a little mad at first, but I'm definitely getting used to it. But I could easily have added on better file management. They could have added on a little bit cheaper price. They could have upped the file or the storage capacity a long time ago. It's getting better now. My fans make videos saying, I hate the Note 8. I oppose. I made one called The Note 8 is great. You 100%. The Note 8 is a lot better than the S8. I have played with them both. Haven't owned either